This is TV18 and you're watching CNBC TV18. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
The internet is everywhere, and as it proliferates, so abound the hazards associated with it. For more than 25 years, Trend Micro has innovated constantly to keep customers ahead of an ever-evolving IT threat landscape, making them the world's largest pure-play security provider and the global cloud security leader. Trend Micro continues to set the pace for the IT security industry by delivering simple, integrated solutions that elegantly solve your most pressing challenges. And as an extension of this endeavor, Trend Micro presents the Cloudsec Conference 2014, which looks to address the internet security of everything.
Now we are on the verge of big transition.
That managing big data, what's called big data, is now within anybody's possibilities, within anybody's capability. Cyber attack techniques that were originally developed by national intelligence agencies have been finding their way into the private sector. Every day there are cyber attacks attempting to destroy our electric generators and do damage to our power grid. Every day there are cyber attacks attempting to blow up our refineries and our pipelines. Financial sector has the best cybersecurity of any industry, but they've also suffered cyber crime, cyber thefts, where hundreds of millions of dollars have been stolen.
Cloud service providers need to recognize that they're being targeted because of their constituencies, that the enemy wants to leverage their footprint to move into those ecosystems.
There has been increase in cybercrime which take advantage of the mobile technology and the social network. Information is now money. When you purchase something online, you provide information which can be analyzed, used, or maybe sold.
We must create new strategies for defense in depth in the cloud environment. We must recognize and appreciate that we need to utilize agentless defensive capabilities in this environment. In fact, the future of cybersecurity is to architecturally develop a better prison, make it more difficult for an adversary to escape in real time with your credentials.
Cloudsec was founded in 2011, and it has, very quickly in a span of 4 years become one of the premier, security conferences in Asia Pacific. This year's topic is Internet of Everything, and as Cisco defines, Internet of Everything, it's a network connection of people, process, data, and things. And really, people, process, and data has been around for a while. It's the things which has been taking on recently in last 2-3 years, and as you will see, the things has been around for a while, but in the last 2-3 years it has been going through a tremendous change or transformation. And really, the things these are the physical devices. It could be a meter, it could be an actuator, it could be an object that is connected to the internet and is capable of providing information to people, process, and followed up with data. And really what that does is it takes all this information and converts into intelligent actions, which allows new capabilities to be developed, new user experiences, as well as economic growth for businesses, as well as government. There are potential security issues related to the front end of the device or the Internet of Things. And there's a much bigger and at times often neglected set of issues with the back end. As these things connect back, whether it's to the data center, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's in a private cloud, what are the security issues of that? I'm certainly not going to cover all of that, but I wanted to open this up with, Internet of Things and the type of issues we are facing today and in future. And we have an amazing panel of experts, industry experts, who know a whole lot more about this, who will be discussing this topic in detail today. Thank you very much.
And with the dialogue on internet security underway, can one of the leading international security agencies be far behind?
So what does Interpol do? The mission of Interpol, we want to move towards a safer world by preventing and fighting crime through two basic mediums: enhancing mutual cooperation and doing innovation and research on police and security matters. These are two main mechanisms. Today, the technology which has become so intrinsic to our daily lives is being rapidly used by criminals, and the lines between physical world and the technology are really becoming very blurred. Technology is changing pace every year, every day. And in order to keep up with the pace of technology, there is a requirement for research support. Unfortunately, most of the law enforcement agencies, even in the most advanced countries, do not have dedicated research support, research infrastructure. So Interpol looks at plugging this gap by forming a research and innovation network in which we are bringing academia, law enforcement agency, private sector, and many partners have already joined, many universities have already joined us, and we look at picking up research problems provided by law enforcement agencies and then working on them and coming out with solutions for dissemination in all 190 member countries. As part of outreach, we are reaching out to private sector, public bodies, academia, to fully operationalize this multi-stakeholder strategy to combat cybercrime. Thank you.
Why can't we put energy to sleep at night?
At Hitachi, we're inspired by challenging questions. That's why, using our advanced power systems and information technologies, we are creating integrated solutions to help cities meet the growing demand for energy, today and tomorrow. Hitachi Social Innovation.
It's our future.
Hitachi, inspire the next.
पहली बार कुछ नया ट्राई करने में थोड़ी हिचकिचाहट तो होती है, चाहे पहली बार पैरा सेलिंग करनी हो या पहली बार हॉलिडे टिकट्स ऑनलाइन बुक करनी हो।
हवा के साथ साथ घटा के संग संग ओ साथी चल मुझे साथ चल।
पर वीजा डेबिट के एडवांस्ड सिक्योरिटी फीचर्स आपके ऑनलाइन पेमेंट्स को रखें फुल्ली प्रोटेक्टेड। वीजा, एवरीवेयर यू वांट टू बी।
Explore the boulevard of real estate investment in India on Prime Property. Send your queries to primeproperty@network18online.com and get expert views and answers to all your queries on Property Doctor at these times, only on CNBC TV 18.
Prime Property, co-presented by indiaproperty.com, the best place to buy new property.
Lessons in Marketing Excellence is all about creative ideas and taking them to build brands which will resonate with the youth of the country. In this event, we would be looking at not only the new businesses, but we would also be looking at businesses which are reinventing themselves, recreating themselves.
CNBC TV 18 and HUL present Lessons in Marketing Excellence, Season 6.
Presented by Hindustan Unilever Limited. Associate sponsor Frederic Constance Geneve.
These insightful speeches were followed by an enriching discussion on ensuring the internet security of everything with industry stalwarts such as the Director of Cyber Innovation and Outreach, Interpol Global Complex for Innovation, Dr. Madan Mohan Oberoi, Global VP of Security Research Trend Micro, Rick Ferguson, Chairman Asia Pacific Executive Council, Cloud Security Alliance, Ken Lowe, and the VP and Global Head of Tech Mahindra Security Services Business, Lucius Lobo.
Lucius, first question to you. I mean, the Internet of Everything, we have consumer devices which are also connecting to corporate networks. So how do you ensure that all of this stays secure?
The first challenge is, most of the people who will envision this new integration are not traditional IT people and they are not exposed to risk. And like somebody said on the panel, they'll just rush to put the business model into market and then figure out, if there are security risks later. So that, I think, that mindset will be the big challenge. And the second is that since it was so diverse in terms of the number of components that it has, one will really have to secure or know how to secure everything. So they'll know how to secure from an embedded security level, they'll know how to secure a cloud, they'll know how to secure data in the enterprise, and it'll be a new thing. So this, I think, will be one of the intersections as I see it right now.
But a lot of people here are representing companies, and companies are always, wrestling with the thing about bring your own device to work, because that has become more and more prevalent, and people are checking emails and doing everything on their mobile phones. So how does that work? Because how do you set like a standard procedure to be followed that everyone is either on iOS or Android, which doesn't work? So how do you figure out BYOD?
Yeah, BYOD is already a big challenge, I think, for enterprises, for organizations globally. There's a model of, are we going to encourage users to, instead of BYOD, bring your own device, maybe we're going to change the model and encourage users to bring your own data. We're still going to own and give a choice of handsets to employees, but we'll own them all. You've got to anticipate, BYOD is not slowing down. Consumerization is the bigger phenomenon, and we're not talking just about devices when it comes to consumerization. We're talking about software and services as well. I spoke to the CIO of one of the big 4 terrestrial TV channels in the UK recently, and he said for him, his biggest security nightmare, and we were talking about consumerization in general, he said his biggest security nightmare is Dropbox. This is also consumerization. Dropbox is a service that was designed for individual users to use to allow them to access their files from anywhere, not a service that was designed for enterprise employees to use to handle sensitive corporate data. This is another part of the phenomenon of consumerization. So people are already looking for answers.
Dr. Oberoi, before I get to you, I just want to talk to Ken. So we've established that the Internet of Everything will have a lot more devices on the Internet very soon. But that's creating a lot of unsecure endpoints. That's a big worry.
Yeah, it's true that the IoE will create a lot of insecure endpoints. It is true, because what we are seeing in IoE today is that we are seeing non-traditional devices or endpoints. The problem with IoE is that the security industry hasn't even caught up yet with all these new operating systems that are out there in the market. So until and unless the industry is seeing a lot more adoption for IoE, security is not going to happen, tomorrow or very soon. Likewise, for IoE, the cloud is going to be the glue that sticks everything together. This is my belief, and the belief of CSA. The backbone of IoE is still going to be your data center. You need to nip the problem in the bud, which is solve the data center problem, right? Solve the security of your cloud center or cloud computing, and then you are in a much better position, right, to support and embrace IoE.
Madan, now you're with the Interpol, and hacking is a huge cybercrime. But what is your advice to organizations when they face this, extortion from hackers? What can they do? What's the way ahead for them?
There's a lot of under-reporting of cybercrime which is happening. So first advice is to report it to the relevant law enforcement agencies. And you can prevent any crime only if you bring consequences on the offender. So the first step to bring consequences to the offender is by reporting the crime.
Lucius, now Ken was talking about the mobile revolution coming up because of cloud computing. But what are some of the top threats to cloud computing today as we stand today?
I think the first one, which is quite underrated, is the ability to handle complexity and scalability. The second one, I think, which has caused a major shift in the cloud industry, and everyone here is familiar with, and it keeps recurring, is the big brother is watching, right? The Prism and the NASA story, etc. And this has caused a huge shift in terms of localizations of clouds moving into Switzerland with data privacy laws, etc. The third one I'd like to emphasize or re-emphasize, which I think is a huge one, is the exposures of web API. In non-technical terms, almost 50% or 60% of all the money flow on the internet through e-commerce is now moving from web to web services and is being exposed through APIs.
Are customers very concerned about government authorities having access to the information that they have placed on cloud service providers?
While there is certainly concern, there are also multiple methods out there to help meet compliance and meet assurance and assure yourself that you are less vulnerable to that. But you certainly can look at the provenance of your supplier, the provenance of your security partners, the funding behind those security partners. Maybe who's investing in that company, and then maybe ask yourself why. You can look at the track history, and you can look at the architecture and mechanism of security products.
But Ken, on that note, how do cloud service providers work towards being transparent in their working so that
precisely. So I was coming to that point, right? So that's why at the CSA we actually encourage transparency, right? Rick alluded to that, right? Transparency in the form of third-party certifications, third-party audits. Second thing is this: there are some vendors out there who have publicly disclosed and publicly announced by their senior staff that there are no security backdoors in their products. And there will never be any security backdoors in their products. Did you know about this? That such companies exist today? So my advice to you is go for those companies, of course, right?
Madan, I want to talk to you about cyber crimes have no border. How do you, at the Interpol, how do you work to curtail this? Because it's just across borders, across countries. It could be anywhere.
The simple answer is that you punish the offenders so that deterrence is created for others to not indulge. As I was saying earlier, consequences have to be brought in. There are problems in bringing the consequences. Right now, what is happening is cybercrime being multi-jurisdictional. There's lack of cooperation, lack of legal frameworks which help in bringing consequences to that. So those issues need to be addressed.
But one of the other things that we can do to really not eradicate crime, I don't think it's possible, but certainly to bring down online crime levels, is take away the profit. Criminals do it for money, not for fun. So if we can go after the financial mechanisms that facilitate and support online crime, do all we can to make it less profitable, there will be less people interested in the first place.
Technology is constantly updating. You have something new coming all the time. That, I think, at times is very overwhelming for people, because when you have larger networks, when you're on enterprises, servers, companies across the country, for example, running on the same software, how do you keep constantly updating your technology?
If you are not sure, don't do it, right? Make sure you understand the new platform. All right? Make sure there is proper security in place. Make sure your whole entire ecosystem, right? Whether it's your security vendor, or your network vendor, or your system integrator companies, they are all on the same page as you. Then you move. Ask yourself the question: is this going to help me protect my data, my contents, my applications?
Last question, Lucius. You have a blog on security, cybersecurity, called Lucius on Security. Do you think the time has come now for it to be made mandatory to do a kind of educational course, maybe in educational institutes, on cybersecurity and cyber know-how?
So it's going to be a very dangerous world. And while we cannot prevent anybody from using the internet, we need to make sure that everyone is less vulnerable when they actually use the internet. And in order to do that, it's very important to have some sort of basic training and make people aware, particularly children who are the digital natives, and sort of digital natives of the internet.
Thank you, Lucius. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Madan. Thank you, Ken, for that. Thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, for being here.
Hands are made to play. Hands are made to share.
Kohler presents Pure Clean, multifunction bidet seats. Enjoy hands-free hygiene for your everyday routine.
Hands are made for love.
29 chapters, 470 sections, 7 schedules, and dozens of amendments. Life has changed for India Inc.
We are moving in the right direction. A lot of haziness is cleared.
This is absolutely like a Brahmastra. Painful changes on the compliance aspect. Independent directors have found a sort of a new voice.
It has widened the disclosure and levels of disclosure.
Boards will learn to live with this situation.
Giving back to society is part of our Indian culture. But you can't put a gun on the head and do it.
Is it the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart?
No matter how many barn doors you try to slam shut, the horse has bolted.
We didn't deserve an act in today's day and age with so many inconsistencies.
Has it been worth it? The finale episode this weekend, only on CNBC TV 18.
Who wants to play?
Looks like trouble.
Looks like Christmas. Never lose control. Never let the monster out. बेगम ताजमहल जरूर बनेगा।
मैं नहीं जानती।
जाओ कहीं से भी ढूंढ के लाओ जमीन। मिल गई जापना।
प्लॉट्स, ऑफिसेज, फ्लैट सब है 99acres.com पे, जहाँ पना बाबर रोड, हुमायूं रोड, अकबर रोड।
प्रॉपर्टी जो बिकती है पहले ही यहाँ दिखती है। Buy, sell, rent at 99acres.com.
Rick Ferguson, the Global Vice President Security Research of Trend Micro, took to the stage to further elaborate on how to secure internet usage from its perils.
Whenever we talk about security, whatever kind of security it is that we're talking about, we need to remember that very often the weakest link, or in fact always I would say, the weakest link in any chain when it comes to security is people. So we have to remember, as much as we can do to secure communications, to secure operating systems, to secure protocols, to secure individual devices, there's still a lot of work to do in instilling the idea of security in all of us. The truth is that the king, when it comes to security, is not content anymore. Security now is all about context. So imagine this. I'm walking down a corridor towards the server room. There's a camera at the end of the corridor, and it recognizes me. Maybe it's gait recognition, the way I walk. Maybe it's facial geometry. It recognizes me, and it says, that's Rick. I walk up to the door of the server room. I get my access card, put it to unlock the door. Ideally, these two systems need to interface, right? And it needs to say that card is the card that belongs to the person that I just saw in the corridor, and he's allowed in the room, building up context. Yeah, so we unlock the door. I walk into the server room. There's another camera inside the server room, of course. And if you build up context, it can say, the guy that came through the door is the same guy who was outside the door and the same guy who owns the card. Everything checks out so far. But imagine this. So Rick goes into the server room, but instead of beginning to clean the floor like I'm supposed to, I sit down and start tapping on a keyboard. Suddenly this is anomalous behavior, right? Cleaners shouldn't be doing this. But if you've got rid of all of the context, what are you left with? A person, human, unidentified, is using a computer in a server room. Suddenly it's okay again. Context is absolutely the new king. So the more information you can get, whether acceptable or unacceptable, will allow you to make much more intelligent decisions when it comes to security. In a nutshell, the principles remain the same in the new age of security, but the approach must be absolutely different. Adaptive, context-based, software-based, platform-independent, moving away from the siloed approach to security. It's only by embracing that kind of culture that you'll have an effective security platform in the truly interconnected age. Thank you very much.
And last but not the least, Ken Lowe enlightened the audience on how to counter top threats to cloud computing and data centers.
The CSA is certainly the world's leading association that is promoting greater awareness about cloud security as well as best practices to secure cloud computing today. What are the objectives of the CSA? It aims to bring trust to the cloud, develop a global trusted cloud system. This is something that we hope to do because without trust in the cloud will never take off. Right? Will never take off. If you don't trust somebody, you don't want to work with him. Similarly, for cloud, if you don't trust the cloud, it will never take off. So what the CSA is trying to do is that we're trying to encourage and trying to foster a global trusted cloud ecosystem. Through different initiatives. One of the initiatives that we are doing is that we are promoting standards, best practices, policies, and processes, to secure cloud computing better. We also have a security certification program called the Cloud Security, Certificate of Cloud Security Knowledge, CCSK. Number one is the problem. The problem is data breaches. And there are documented cases of internet virtual machine attacks to steal cryptographic keys from another virtual machine. This is not something that is of make-believe. You can Google it and you can find out that private keys have been stolen and data was compromised. Right? Poor multi-tenant security. Remember, who are you sleeping with in your data center? Right? In your cloud. Who are you sharing the resources with? Who's your neighbor in your cloud, in your data center? The poor multi-tenant security allows attacker to access the data of other tenants, which is true, right? Countermeasures: invest in virtualization security, cloud encryption, automated and secure data backups, strong multi-tenant security. 91% of them, customers feel that data loss and leakage is a real problem today. So please bear in mind as you're moving your data to the cloud as well as to the data center. As you are, integrating security in the cloud, make sure that, whether it's a SaaS application or PaaS or IaaS, make sure that you RFP your security in. The lower down you go in this stack of SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS, right? You have to build your security. You have to take ownership for your security. Don't take everything, that your vendor says, right, is good enough, right? You have to make sure that you RFP in, your security. Take ownership, right? And we at CSA, we encourage you and we encourage all users of the cloud to take what we call a shared security responsibility. All right? Thank you very much. See you again.
To transform and add value to the health system, we need new ideas and innovations. ICICI Lombard and CNBC TV 18 present the India Healthcare Summit 2014 as a prequel to the